Alright, I got a bit of a different one for you today. I have travelled up north, I'm just south of Sunderland, to come and cover a story for you about an alien shrew species. The non-native great white-toothed shrew has somehow shown up in Britain. How it's got here, we don't know. We'll be getting into that in a minute. But for this video, I am going to be interviewing a cat. That's right, earlier on today, I spent some time interviewing Jeff the cat because he was the first to discover these shrews. We also caught up with some local ecologists, and then we're going to be hearing from the Mammal Society because they're running a project called Searching for Shrews, where people can get involved to try and identify and really understand how this species is getting about. Earlier on today, I met up with Ian and Terry here, who had a captive non-native shrew with them. Have you named him? Or her?
I think Lauren calls it shrew face.
Shrew face? Yeah. They're bad for the pygmy shrew, right? Not the common shrew.
We don't know yet. I mean, they're bad for the pygmy shrew in Ireland, they're disastrous for the pygmy shrew in Ireland.
Right,
because you know, wherever the white-toothed shrew has become established over there, then the pygmy shrew has disappeared.
I see.
Just not turning up in owl pellets or traps, or there's just no sign of them whatsoever. There are different genus of shrew, and so their behaviours are a little bit different. They're a little bit more sociable, or less unsociable, if you like.
Yeah.
So they can live at higher densities. And over a period of time, once they get established, that might then start to have a bit of a competitive effect.
This ability to live at higher densities and expand rapidly is akin to the cane toad invasion in Australia, which saw many native species suffer. In Ireland, the white-tooth first showed up back in 2007, but had likely been there for years. Studies revealed that it moved at a rate of about 5 kilometres a year between 2008 and 2013. And live trapping between 2012 and 2013 showed that they could cover distances of up to 14.1 kilometres in a single year. Needless to say, this is a species which can move fast. We're uncertain if humans are inadvertently moving them around, as they can survive in organic material. At first, ecologists in Ireland thought that the white-tooth would be an additional item on the menu for birds of prey, which it certainly was. But what wasn't anticipated was how badly it's affected the pygmy shrew, which completely disappears when the great white shows up. And we're now concerned that it will start doing the same here in England, or worse. Here at Tunstall Hill, we know that there is a bit of a hotspot for the great whites, but it was actually 10 miles further south where they were first discovered. Melissa is the owner of Jeff, a house cat who first caught a great white back in 2021.
Say a few words, Jeff, no? How was it when you found the shrew?
I'd love to know where they came from. I mean, obviously it's a very nice wild garden. You can see I've had shrews running across the top here.
Okay.
You can see where the conservatory roof is slipped.
Yes.
And there's a gap there, and they're coming through that little gap.
Where it's native to in Europe and North Africa, it's commonly known as a house shrew. They regularly show up in the built environment, as well as being found in agricultural and wilder habitats. This explains how it's so easily spreading now through northern England. Understanding how these little creatures are moving and their effects takes a fair bit of detective work. One of the best ways of looking for evidence of shrews and other small mammals is through dissecting barn owl pellets.
Explain to me how does this come out of the owl again?
It's straightforward enough. The owl eats whatever it's eating, and the indigestible bits, the bone and the, in that case, feathers and fur, it then just regurgitates.
Yeah.
And barn owl stomach acid isn't quite as strong as other owls, so you get more remnant material which is recognisable. Well, I think this is a shrew skull.
Right there.
Well, I think I haven't get it out yet.
Terry had brought along the perfect pellets. Of course, there's no knowing for sure what's inside until you start unwrapping. It's quite fun really, they're like mini presents with a sadistic surprise inside. But in just a couple of pellets we find examples of the native common and pygmy shrew, voles, wood mouse and the non-native great white-toothed shrew. So the real clues for identifying these is the shape of the skulls, but also the teeth. Vole teeth stand out because they have this zigzag pattern that's pretty recognisable, but telling the native and non-native shrews apart is even easier because our native shrews have red tips and non-native do not. And here we have a comparison between the pygmy shrew skull and jaw and the great white-toothed. As you can see, the great white-tooth is much bigger. Shrews are actually able to shrink their skulls, their brains, their entire bodies by 15% during the winter. Since they don't hibernate, they've adapted this survival mechanism to get through the harsher months of the year before fully regrowing in the spring. There's no rest for shrews, so they have to be keen hunters, continuously eating insects, worms, slugs and snails. The common and water shrew can actually use echolocation to identify prey underground. We're now finding the great white as far south as Nottinghamshire. That's about 140 miles south of Sunderland. And what's still unclear is how they got here in the first place. Has there been multiple entry points, or have they just been spreading here undetected for decades? To get some clarity on this, I caught up with Matt.
Yeah, they are pretty widespread. So across Europe. So obviously a lot of countries up in particularly the north of Europe, and of course now not native, but they are in Ireland. So we would have assumed initially that this would have been a spread that came over from Ireland, because they could have come on a boat then, which is a bit more feasible. I believe that the genetic tests that we've done suggest they are not from Ireland. So that gives us a sense that it's going to be a slightly more interesting story. My theory is, well, and it's a completely unscientifically proven theory at the moment, but given the constraints that shrews would have in travelling a large distance because they need to eat so often, my theory is that perhaps they could have come across on a chicken feed load, which would have allowed them, plenty of food, kind of as one theory to work with, and that would mean it could have come from anywhere really, because we obviously don't get imports of that kind of thing just from one place. It depends where the feed is cheap.
The Mammal Society have launched the Searching for Shrews project, which is all about creating awareness and enabling the public to get involved to contribute data.
Yeah, and we've developed quite a simple sort of dissection guide for people to use as well, and it's simple enough that even a class of school children with some supervision from their teacher can still give us the data that we need. But on the other side, we're really interested as well in the data that's going to come from this project that isn't to do with just whether or not greater white-toothed shrew are present. We're interested in all that small mammal data because, as you said, they are under-recorded, and we need that data to inform conservation generally, as well as the fact that it will give us comparative data if the greater white-toothed shrew turns up there at some point in the future. It's a very interesting and quite fun activity that anyone can get involved in, but the data is absolutely vital.
Checking pellets is the most effective, but it's not the only way of gathering data. Camera trapping and ad hoc sightings are still useful in helping build this picture of our small mammals in Britain. I really encourage you to get involved with this, and for all the information, please go to the description of the video where there'll be links to all of this really useful information.
Alright, that was quite an interesting one. I hope you enjoyed learning about this shrew here in Britain. Just want to say thanks to everybody involved who helped make this one. If you've enjoyed watching, then please leave a like and subscribe. And if you want to keep watching the channel, then check out the video that's on the screen now. But in the meantime, thank you so much for watching. Live curious.